Innovation is extremely key for any organizations to grow. Innovation is the way forward. If your idea has only wow factor, but it doesn't have a value factor, probably it might give you an initial kickoff, but it will have an excruciating death at one point of time. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you at IIN Sambalpur.
Same here.
So, to start off, my question would be how do you see startups shaping India's future towards Viksit Bharat 2047?
Right. So let's talk about Viksit Bharat 2047, right? So I would look at that not as a developed thing, but more of a shining thing. And innovation is extremely key for any organizations to grow. Innovation is the way forward. And the startups are the labs for these dreams, right? Startups are pretty quick. Startups are pretty open to, new challenges that we talk about. And I think India is moving in the right direction. When we graduated from our colleges, we were always thinking about which company that we can join for a salary, which companies can pay us better. Now that mind process has been shifted, right? What statements that I can solve, what problem statements which I am solving can get me money, right? So that is where the most of the development and the shift of mindset is happening going forward. I think we are in right direction. Yeah.
So, sir, you play another role, which is an investor. So, what about that is the most exciting part to you? Is it the founder's passion? Is it their ideas? Is it their innovation?
Okay, so world is full of ideas. We are not worried about the ideas. Every day I sleep with 10 new ideas. I wake up with another 10 ideas. So the key for everything is the execution. How passionately that you are executing it. And the other one is the passion of a founder, right? So when we are planning to invest on any idea, what we typically look at is whether this guy has an excitement or a passion. There are many a times that we consider excitement as passion, right? So what we typically look at is a disciplined passion. Disciplined passion is something like if I have an excitement, I'll just give up in my first mile itself with my first failure. If I have a disciplined passion, even if I have a 50 failures, I'll have the same kind of energy, to start again. So typically, the execution and the disciplined passion of a founder.
So, since you talked about ideas and you said that every day new ideas are there. So, what makes an idea unique and what makes it special?
See, let's don't classify an idea, into different buckets as such, right? So I would rather look at, I'll take one step back and see what problem statement I'm solving, right? So it is rather than an idea, it is more of a problem that I'm trying to solve, and what kind of idea that is solving that problem is more important than how exciting my idea is all about. So there are always two aspects whenever you are trying to build. This is for every aspiring entrepreneur. If you have an idea or if you are trying to solve a problem, there are always two aspects to it, remember. One is value based, another is a wow based. If your idea has only wow factor, but it doesn't have a value factor, probably it might give you an initial kickoff, but it will have an excruciating death at one point of time. If you have a value factor but doesn't have a wow factor, it takes a lot of time in terms of getting that initial pickup. By the time it gets the pickup, you might have exhausted your energy, time, funds, and everything. That fine balance between that wow factor and value factor is extremely important in this competitive world to be very successful. Yeah. It's all about the problem statement and how you are solving it rather than how exciting your idea is all about.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So you've seen so many startups, you've overseen so many founders. What is that one mistake that you see them repeating and how can they avoid it?
So there are hundreds of mistakes. And I don't even call it as a mistake. We learned many of these in a very hard fashion, right? So particularly if someone is trying to build a product, if you consider a product journey as a 10 steps, most of the founders, what they do is their first step is building a product. Second step is consecutive steps of scaling and and all of that. Ninth step is your marketing, and 10th step is your sales. Trust me, 99% of the startups would fail. Okay. So I would rather advise to consider it in a other way around. So now you have a problem statement, you understand how you can sell that particular problem. That will give you who is your ideal customer. The next one is how you can sell your problem. That is your marketing strategy. And your entire product journey should be depending on these first two steps. So the chances are very lean because you are building a particular product with a problem statement for a particular customer. You really don't need to go into the gray market and try to do gambling. The first step is a gambling. Second step is an art. Okay. And the other one is don't run behind the valuations. Run behind the value that you are generating for your customer. Right. So don't prepare your pitch deck unless you have a prototype. This is the biggest mistake that most of the founders feel. And you might consider it as weird, but don't consider your idea as your baby. Okay, don't take your ideas to your heart. So if I consider my idea as my baby, if my baby is not efficient and productive, I can never fire my baby, right? So you can never be open to criticism. You are never be open to any of the improvements that are suggested. So that kind of ideas will have an excruciating death. Okay. So and the other one is try to bring in value rather than the valuations. Now, if you see most of the founders or the entrepreneurs are running behind the valuations, easy capital is pretty cheap, right? It don't sustain for long. So look at the value system that you can generate, out of your idea, even if it takes time, right? So these are some of those.
Yes, sir. So talking about numbers, if you had just 1 lakh rupees, what kind of startups would you bet on as an investor?
That's a good question, but I'll take that in a different way. Instead of quantifying it by 1 lakh, 2 lakhs or whatever, but what kind of problem statements that I typically can invest on, right? Whether it is 1 lakh 10 rupees or 1 million as such. The whole idea is what problem statements that the founders are trying to solve, and what is the scalability of that problem statement. Now I built a system. That system can only cater the need of 10 people. At the end of the day, I cannot commercialize it. So there is a boundary that we are defining. So we look at the scalability of it and the repeatability of it as well. Typically we look at product market fit. And again, that's not the only parameter. Product market fit is very fragile. I built one today and there are hundreds of competitors in the market who can build that tomorrow. So repeatability and scalability is one thing that we typically look at, apart from the founder passion and, the other statement that I previously mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. So as an entrepreneur yourself, if we consider entrepreneurship as a roller coaster, what do you think your personal experience was that felt like the scariest drop?
So don't think that if you are not an entrepreneur, it's a sin. Okay, so entrepreneurship is not for everyone. I've been in entrepreneurship from last 14 years. So life of an entrepreneur is extremely lonely. Trust me, guys, nobody believes on your idea better than you does. Not your employees, not your investor, not your friends, no one. It is you. You need to believe on your idea. You need to believe on your execution. You need to believe on how you need to take it forward. And as I said, life of entrepreneur, 18 hours every day, 18 years. Let's take that as an example. In last 14 years, our average working time is at least 15 to 18 hours every day. It is not about that 16 to 18 hours of your time. Just imagine your wife can waiting for you 24 hours a day, 18 hours, and and including your children, your friends, and all of it. And the best part is whether you have that resilience for these 14, 18 years, whatever that we are talking about, a resilience in terms of taking up all these challenges every day head on, and you need to move on, right? So, as I said, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Don't think that being an entrepreneur, you don't need to report to any boss, you don't need to answer to any boss. Trust me, if you have 50 customers that you onboard, you have 50 bosses that you need to deal with every day. Okay, entrepreneurship is all about the value that you are generating for your customers, the value that you are generating for yourself, and the value that you are generating for your employees, and the value that you are generating for your society. These are the only things that drives you forward.
So, what is that one non negotiable trait that you look for in a founder that you want to take forward?
Non-negotiable trait is believing on your idea and executing it with a discipline, right? So nothing else. So if you don't have a discipline in terms of doing your work every day, uh, you won't be able to achieve. If you look at any of the successful entrepreneurs, there are 2 or 3 traits that they will have, which they have an absolute discipline. Discipline in terms of taking decisions, discipline in terms of executing it, discipline in terms of following the moral values, discipline in terms of following the ethics. So discipline is one thing that we definitely need to have in any founder to be successful. Without discipline, even if you get a success, it is more like a fluke or a lottery rather than, a consistent, a victory.
True, true, sir. So, on a closing note, what would be your advice to all of the aspiring founders here?
As I said, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Listen to your heart. Your heart is an organ of perceptions, right? It tells you right thing. Don't blindly follow just because someone else is doing. But as I advised, when you are starting something, don't go by gut feel. Most of the time, this is what we were taught by our professors in our academics. If you are going by your gut feel when you are starting any business or your startup, you are at least a 95% you would fail. Okay, so go by numbers. Talk to your customers rather than to your investors. You need to talk to your end users. I am very proud to say that I have pretty much done everything that you see in an organization except toilet cleaning. So I never did because I never got an opportunity to do it. So be open in terms of if you have to do it, just roll up your sleeves and get to the job. Don't wait for someone else will come and do it for you. That would never happen. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a very wonderful conversation.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.